I think Demon Slayer is a very interesting show. Not in the sense of the stuff that goes on within the episodes, but more specifically about the fact that, for me at least, it seemingly came out of nowhere. Because one day, a couple weeks ago, I was just on Twitter, normally just how I am, just scrolling through my timeline, see who's tweeting, who's online, who's doing whatever, who's which memes going on right now, whatever, right? And then there's a tab on Twitter on mobile that you can click and see what's going on and what's trending and blah blah blah, right? And then I see that people are freaking out about Demon Slayer. Demon Slayer was trending on Twitter in the United States enough for it to be, like a kind of like a Twitter moments thing, and I was very surprised. I was very surprised to see that, and I was even more surprised to see all these people just randomly start talking about it, excuse me, like they've been talking about the show for weeks upon months and etc. And the show for me just seemingly just came out of nowhere. And of course, that is because episode 19 was a very impactful episode, which we'll get to potentially later on, depending on how much I really want to talk about the show and how much I want to spoil about the stuff that goes on within the episodes. But I already had made my first impressions video like weeks ago, and I was on and off again with the show in the sense of I was just getting distracted with a couple other things, and the show was starting to become a little bit formulaic. Even though I think the show looks absolutely stunning. I think the show is absolutely stunning with its animation. Its animation is phenomenal. I can't praise the animation for how good it is any more than I already have, other than something that I didn't mention in my first video uh, about how the show somehow manages to be able to combine CG and realistic animated character, not realistic animated characters, but CG and animated characters into a scene very, very well. Somehow the show is able to do that a lot of the time. And I never really paid attention until I started really noticing that there are moments in the show and certain episodes where the characters are CG and the backgrounds are animated, or the background is CG and the characters are animated. Like there was an episode where Tanjiro was fighting a demon who has the ability to be able to switch the room around and move the room around and like from left to right and make it upside down and then do all this other stuff. That was one of its demon blood art abilities, and the type of camera movements that they were able to do within that episode was very surprising, and that is because the environment that Tanjiro is in is a CG environment, but he is hand drawn animated, and I think that it was utilized in many different episodes, and I really appreciate that once I really started noticing that a lot more as episodes continued on afterwards, when I started initially watching it and after I watched a couple other people started talking about it, and it made me really appreciate how they were able to do that. And apparently the animation studio who is making Demon Slayer is pretty infamous for doing this, and they did it before Attack on Titan even did something like the way that they were doing it. And I've still yet to see Attack on Titan, so I have no, correlation of what I can really say about it. But it's very impressive, and it's something that I haven't seen before because, well, to be honest, I've watched a very short and limited amount of anime, even though, if you look at the name of my channel, I've actually been thinking about changing the name of the channel, but we'll get to that at a later date. But that's not what we're here to talk about. We're here to talk about Demon Slayer, and I'm formally impressed. I'm very impressed with the show just overall, with its presentation, with its animation, with its writing, with the way that they write the characters, the comedy, the action, just everything about the show was something that was completely different and genre defining, almost, you can say, for shonen, because this is a shonen manga. It has a lot of shonen anime tropes, and that's not a bad thing. But Demon Slayer takes those anime tropes and twists it in its own unique way and does something different that we haven't really seen before. Like Tanjiro, he's, your pretty much defined shonen anime protagonist. He's kind of like Goku, he's kind of like Naruto, but the difference between him and all these other characters from different shonen anime is that characters like Naruto, Luffy, Deku, and etc., they're pretty naive, but they're all, pure of heart. They're pure of heart. They're the protagonists. We're supposed to like them and relate to them and etc. But they're still very naive about what things realistically are. Like Naruto. Like Naruto tries to see the good in people, but he's very naive in that case in the sense that he always tries to see the good in people when there are just instances where someone is just purely evil and you can't do anything about it. But Tanjiro is already pretty much well aware of that being the case, and he just continues on as things really are just in the normal world. He exists in a world where demons will devour humans and they become more powerful that way. And it's very interesting in the sense that he is still kind-hearted and pure of heart and etc. He's your typical shonen protagonist, but he's naive. He's not naive. He still knows that demons are very bad and terrible people and that they have done bad and terrible things. But the thing that's different about him still in his own show in his own universe is that even though he's not naive to the sense of what the demons are capable of and the fact that they are terrible people, he still sees that they were once human before, and he's very respectful towards them. After he, of course, has to chop off their head and kill them, and that was something that I was starting to really like after a while. Once they kind of went into this, monster of the episode kind of formulaic episode, because that's how they were doing that for a little bit, but. That was one of the few things that I was actually really enjoying was the fact that Tanjiro would go after a demon and he would fight the demon, of course, and then he would eventually kill the demon. But something that I really appreciated was the fact that he took the time to be able to write a backstory for that particular demon for the episode or episodes, depending on how long he's fighting the demon for, excuse me. And they write a backstory for them, and they make us as a viewer understand the situations that they were in and what potentially drove them into becoming a demon. And it's very interesting in that sense, because normally in shonen anime, an antagonist is an antagonist, but they have reasons as to why they do the stuff they do, and they're not really the bad guy. They just have to do what they have to do in order to get what they want. Or there's a shonen antagonist who's just an evil motherfucker who wants to get everything that he possibly wants, no matter the cause, and he just wants to be evil and etc. That's how things are. But in most cases in Demon Slayer is that these demons that Tanjiro ends up killing, they all have backstories. They all have memories of when they were human and something that drove them to be like the way they are. Like in episode like 15 through 19, Ryui, I think I'm pronouncing the name correctly. I apologize, I pronounced some characters' names wrong. I know we're already this far into the video, but whatever. But Ryui, his whole backstory was he was a very weak child. He wasn't very stable, and it was very tough for him to walk around. And then Kibutsuchi, the main antagonist of the show, he ends up turning him into a demon. And Ryui's memories were that his parents, tried to kill him, and then he ended up killing them, and he didn't see it as it was his fault. But then after Tanjiro ends up beating him, and then something else happens. I'm not gonna really say what it was. I'm just gonna say that Tanjiro beat him, because episode 19 is a fantastic episode. You need to watch it. I'm actually not even going to spoil that episode. You need to go watch that for yourself. It's fantastic. I'm not going to say any more than that. Go watch it. Go watch Demon Slayer. But he remembers his past, and you really see a lot of what made him be like the way that he was, because he's part of the 12 Kizuki, which is, some of the strongest demons that you could ever fight. But what drove him down this path was he had turned into a demon and killed his parents. And for the longest time, he had saw it as their fault, and they were the ones who drove him that way. But he still felt this emptiness within him, and he wanted to get rid of it. He wanted to not want to feel that type of pain that he was feeling. And so he forced these other group of demons to just essentially be his family, a fabricated family, a family that's not really tied to him, blood related, and they don't really have bonds together, like how Nezuko and Tanjiro have. And he sees that Nezuko and Tanjiro have that bond, and that's really what makes him start remembering more about his family. And they were wanting to they still loved him. Like they still loved him even after he was a demon, and they just wanted to be by his side forever. And it's a very emotional scene. It happens in episode 20, I believe, and it's a very impactful part of that episode. And I will go ahead and just point it out. I did get very emotional, especially in episode 19. Again, I'm not gonna spoil it, but episode 19 is just it's just way too good for someone to not view it, for the first time. You need to go watch it. It's fantastic. But just it was a very impactful scene. It was a very impactful scene, and it made me really sympathize for the demon who was supposed to be the antagonist of these series of episodes. He was supposed to be the bad guy, but I still somehow managed to be able to sympathize for him. And Tanjiro does the same thing. He sees that the demon, Ryui, was, feeling a type of pain that he had felt before when, Kibutsuji had killed his family and turned his sister into a demon. And that's the reason why I really like Tanjiro in this series. I think Demon Slayer has one of the best shonen protagonists, is because he is very kind, he's very caring, and he's very pure of heart. I've already said this, but he's not naive as to who people are and what they're capable of. But he's still able to see that demons were once humans before, and he's still very respectful, and he still understands that they still have those types of emotions and memories of their past. And he's just a very likable character. He's just a very likable character in that sense, and I just thoroughly enjoy seeing him just be himself, and it's great. And then of course his relationship with his sister, God, his sister, I fucking love his sister. Best anime sister Oni-chan ever. This is the best sister in anime history. I'm not even gonna argue with anyone who disagrees. Go fuck yourself. You need to go watch Demon Slayer, and then you'll understand why I mean by that. But I really enjoy his sister for a lot of different ways, in the sense that she's a demon, and so Tanjiro has to find a way in order to be able to cure his sister and turn her back into a human. But most of the time when you see her, she's either not on screen, and when she is, rather, she's either asleep or she's not talking. But you could still see all the emotion and what she's thinking and what she's in her memories and her relationship with her family before they were killed. You could see that just with her body language, with her visible emotions, because the teacher, I'm not gonna try to pronounce his name right now, not in this video, but Tanjiro's teacher, the guy that taught him on how to be able to be a swordsman for the final selection to become a demon slayer. He put a spell on her, and he made it so that Nezuko sees all humans as her family. But then Tanjiro and Nezuko find Miss Tamayo, and she's a demon herself, and she also has an assistant, but she still sees these two demons as part of her family as well. And you can see that she has a very close, bond, a connection to her family, and it's very impactful. It's very emotional. It's very emotional towards me because of personal reasons. I'm not really going to get into it, but it's very impactful. It's very emotional, and I think it's something that people can really relate to, in a sense that familial bond that people have with their parents, with their brothers, their sisters. It's something that's very relatable, and I really enjoyed seeing that whenever Nezuko, sees someone as her family. It's very, very heartwarming, and I very much enjoy that. I think it's very good that does happen. But there's not really much else I can really talk about this show other than just to go watch it. The show is absolutely fantastic. Amazing animation, great music, great fighting, great choreography. The blend of mixing CG with hand drawn animation. It's fantastic. The characters are all likable. Just so much about the show that I just can't really talk any more than I can right now, and I don't really know how to put it into words, because I don't know what to say about the show other than adding spoilers, but I don't really want to spoil the show because it's something that you really need to see hands on, especially episode 19, which I keep mentioning, but episode 19 is the episode that got the show trending, and it's for all the right reasons. I promise you, it's worth the hype. I know I'm hyping it up a little bit, and it was trending on Twitter and yada yada, and Twitter was hyping it up. But I promise you, it's worth the hype. The show is worth watching if you're interested into shonen anime in general or just anime in general. Just please go watch it. It's a fantastic show, and it can only get better from here, which is what I always think whenever I watch a new show. So that's pretty much it for the video itself. I'm gonna go ahead and wrap it up now. But other than that, I also am gonna point out that I am gonna start reviewing it on a weekly basis, or at least I'm gonna try to. Episode 23 actually came out, well, technically yesterday because this is gonna go up Sunday, I'm pretty sure. And that was the last episode that I watched. So starting next Saturday, that's why I'm gonna try starting to review the series on a weekly basis. So be on the lookout for those types of videos. But we'll have to wait and see what happens because, of course, this Friday is the release for Borderlands 3, and I already made a video about that. So if you haven't seen it, go watch it. Anyways, that's pretty much it for this video for now, and I'm gonna go ahead and see you guys in the next one. If you did enjoy, be sure to leave a like. If you're new, subscribe for more videos just like this. I'll see you guys in the next one. Have a fantastic day. I'm out. Peace.